Hello everyone, welcome back to another awesome, exciting episode of CSGO News. Now we have a lot of great stories today, and the first one is a big one coming from Virtus.pro. As always, hope you guys all enjoy. Let's get right into it. For those of you who have not been around the CSGO scene or are just unaware of the team Virtus.pro struggles, they've really been struggling the past few weeks as well as the past few months as a team, with very few wins against high-tier teams and a lot of losses against those mid-tier teams that they never really would have dropped games to. So for instance, this past weekend was one of those moments where they really had to perform as a team to actually come back together and have some sort of a comeback for this season. It was a Season 9 Cevo finals and group stages where they actually lost a best of 5 to Tempo Storm, who of course went on to go win it against SK Gaming, so that's not like a big loss there, and it did go to game 5, but they also dropped a best of 3 series to teams like Hellraisers, and before the tournament they lost games to Flipside Tactics. They lost a 2-0 series, got swept by a team like Mouse Sports, so it's pretty insane. The team has definitely been downhill for quite some time with very limited success, and now we have this post that's been released by Taz from Virtus.pro. As you guys know, their captain, their leader, their main guy, and he released this statement on Facebook, and so many times in this article he made it seem as if one thing is going to happen: either he's going to leave or there's going to be a roster change and the team might disband. And this really took a lot of people back because it came out of nowhere. Obviously we've seen this downhill degrade of the team Virtus.pro, but this came out of nowhere. And again, multiple times Taz said in this, maybe it's time. I really enjoyed playing for you guys, as in past tense. And then at the very end he said these words: maybe this is it. And again, I thought it was at first, just reading this once, I thought it was just one time he said this, but he made sure to say 3 times, maybe it's time, maybe this is it. I really enjoyed playing for you guys, and it really was a sad statement. So what do you guys think? Comment down below. How long does Virtus.pro have together as a team? Now, as of right now, they are still a team, but I really find that within a month or two, these guys are going to disband, or maybe Taz will try to find another team. As you guys know, one of the oldest lineups in all of CSGO history, and it would really be sad to see them disband. And bouncing off this, the team they lost to early on in that best of 5, Tempo Storm, actually went on to win the Season 9 Cevo finals, and again they beat SK Gaming in a 3-1 in a best of 5 there, and dominated the entire tournament. Tempo Storm looked amazing, and obviously the Brazilian scene looking really good right now with teams like Luminosity Gaming just ahead of Tempo Storm in Brazil. They won MLG Columbus. Now you have Tempo Storm winning the Season 9 Cevo finals, which is incredible. This scene is looking really dominant, and again, Tempo Storm playing some really good teams and really making a mark on this whole scene of why they should be invited to more qualifiers and more minors. As you guys know, this is a team that's been left out of a lot of things, including E-League, and just this past weekend alone they beat 3 of the 24 teams in just one weekend that's going to be invited and actually in the E-League, but Tempo Storm will not be there, for they did not get an invite to actually qualify for the league. So they're definitely making a mark there, definitely telling everyone, you know what, we need to be invited to more things. So just this past weekend, the Season 9 Cevo finals and group stages, they beat teams like SK, they beat teams like Dignitas, Virtus.pro, and then SK again, very dominantly again, like I said before. So they're really looking good, and the Brazilian scene altogether is probably one of the best in CSGO as of right now. And another CSGO news, and actually the first segment of drama we've had on this show for a long time, we had Sadokist, an analyst and a Comcaster for CSGO ECS series, or the Esports Championship series on Twitch, which happened a few days ago. He tweeted out this at CLG Gaming, calling the entire team idiots, and they did not appreciate this. They were supposed to be in a match play versus Team Liquid, but apparently they were late, according to Sadokist, because they were actually in a scrim during the veto portion, and they were in a scrim with Team Renegades. Now, there were also two sides of this story between Team Liquid and Team CLG thinking completely differently. You had Tarek, Hazed, JDM, and Fugly, almost the entire CLG roster responding to Sadokist and calling him out, not so much for being wrong about them being late, so they may have accepted that matter of fact, but they were really upset because they called the whole team idiots and they were spreading false information. So here's their side of the story. Now, apart from CLG Gaming, they thought that they were already in their scrim at Team Renegades. They got the message saying let's start vetoes. They paused the game with Team Renegades, went into vetoes, did that, and that's when apparently Team Liquid timed out during vetoes. And so from CLG's gaming point of view, they actually thought it was Team Liquid they were waiting on. And again, CLG Hayes came out on CSGO Reddit and confirmed and said that they were actually waiting on the server for 10 minutes, the actual match play server versus Team Liquid, when the in-game chat finally said, "We are ready, the Comcasters are ready for you." So everyone thought they were on time. We had Team Liquid, CLG, and also Sadokist only thinking that CLG was the ones who were late, while CLG this whole time thought they were on time, they were early, and they were waiting on Sadokist. So again, this whole thing seems to be a miscommunication, and people were turning the argument of Sadokist even being right about this all towards Sadokist calling them idiots and really doing this thing publicly, which really should not have been done in the first place. So again, the whole situation is just a big bum fuss. I really don't know the whole context, and I don't think any of us really do know the full context besides the players on each of these teams. We also had Gomez, actually the manager for Team Renegades, coming out on CSGO Reddit and confirming that CLG had left the server well before 7 and they had never forced him to play. So CLG obviously obviously this whole time thought they were on time and probably were, but there was a big miscommunication on the server, and let's just blame that. We're all friends here. So Sadokist came out with this big dramatic statement, but let's be honest here, there have been Comcasters that have said way worse, especially Thorin. When he tweets out things like this, Thorin gives no fricks, and he said far worse than the word idiots. So let's not be hard on anyone, but that was the only drama for today's news. And also bouncing off that last segment, talking about Team Renegades, we now have a lot of coaching changes coming into the scene of CSGO all of a sudden out of nowhere. Obviously, not too long ago, we had Team Liquid coming out with GB James being released from their roster. Now GB James no longer their coach. They replaced him for a short time, being only a couple games with a player by the name of Trip as their coach, and he also did not work out. So Team Liquid looking for a coach now. We also had Mouse Sports coming out and releasing NKJ, their former coach, and also on top of that, like I was talking about before, Team Renegades replaced their former coach as well. They replaced Rob Lee, their former coach, with a guy by the name of PK. He's actually an Australian commentary kind of guy or an analyst there. He'll be stepping in as during the Asia Minor in South Korea for Team Renegades to step in for their coach. And their older coach before that, Chris Orfanellis, otherwise known as Gomez, we also talked about him earlier, will be stepping into the managerial role for the team. So that's 3 coaching changes with 3 decently big organizations within the last couple weeks or so. I expect a lot more coaching changes soon in the near future in the CSGO scene. I mean, I could probably coach. I'm not very good. I could bring snacks to the guys like, hey Hiko, you want to eat? I got food. And that's really all I have for today's CSGO news. Not too much else going on. I actually have a final in about 4 hours that I have not studied for because I've been working on replying to comments in this episode, which is okay. You know what? School's not important anyway. Also, remember to follow my Twitter down below because I will be doing a Team YP giveaway sometime soon. Now, I'm not going to make you guys follow my Twitter. I just want you to follow it for now so you can actually see when the giveaway is actually announced. So I don't want you guys to miss out on that. The giveaway won't be for a couple weeks or so, so don't, just take your time. If you don't want to follow me, that's okay. Just make sure you're aware of my Twitter so you can actually see the giveaway when it happens. As always, guys, live, love, laugh a lot. Your crazy support's keeping me going, and I cannot thank you guys enough for that. As always, guys, remember, I like you. I'll see you in a couple days in a CSGO news video. Remember, I like you. Goodbye.